Well, for more on this now, I'm joined from London by Jehangir Malik. He's the UK Director for Islamic Relief. You've been working in areas that are held by al-Shabab fighters. Tell a little bit about the situation there.
The situation, as quite rightly pointed out in your previous report, is particularly acute in south-central Somalia, in Bay, Bakul, Lower Shabelle, and Baidoa. This is where the most serious of the humanitarian crisis is, and which is the most inaccessible for most of the Western aid organizations currently.
Why is it still so inaccessible? We've heard pledges by the al-Shabab to facilitate and not interfere with any aid missions.
Well, the situation on the ground, of course, we're operating in a war zone. It's heavily militarized, it's conflict, and so we're trying to operate the humanitarian principles in the middle of a very serious conflict and a situation in which that has been going on for the last sort of 20 years. So it's a very, very challenging environment for us to work. But Islamic Relief has been able to negotiate our way through the terrain and reaching up to 320,000 people who are desperately in need in south-central Somalia at this moment in time.
You know, I was reading some of the figures and numbers on this. I think it was 29,000 children dead. Shocking. How has it been left to come to that?
Absolutely shocking. The aid organizations, as Islamic Relief and many of the international aid organizations, have been ringing the alarm bells. We have had the early warning mechanisms in place. We've been working with local communities in Somalia, and we witnessed the failure of the rains and the absence of the death of livestock as they were unfolding in front of our very eyes. And we had been ringing these alarm bells earlier this year, late last year, but unfortunately, as the story often is the case, until those harrowing images reach the media and the international world attention, people don't respond, and the international community is late to respond once again.
Well, if people want to respond now watching these images, what can they do to help? Especially if, as you're saying, you can't even get into all the areas because it's very unstable and it's a war zone. How can we help the tens of thousands of kids dying?
Well, right now it's a race against time. Aid organizations like ourselves, Islamic Relief, that do have an access outside of Mogadishu, that are negotiating their way across into south-central Somalia. As I mentioned, our operations in Baidoa, we need to give and give generously. For the Muslim community, of course, it is the month of Ramadan. It's a time of giving anyway. And I urge all international community and entire humanity, pleading on behalf of some of the children that I witnessed and touched and saw whilst I was out in Mogadishu, to give generously and give today, because this is really a race against time. People are dying by the day, and we need to get aid and assistance in whatever way possible out there as soon as possible.
All right, Jehangir Malik, thanks for sharing your experiences there.
You're very welcome.